Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here, and the Washington Commanders just signed a receiver, but not Terry McLaurin. They just signed DC Defenders receiver Braylon Sanders. So we are going to talk about that in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. It does, though, look similar, to Terry in terms of the Buckeyes uniform, the same number as well, but obviously not Terry McLaurin. We'll talk about Braylon Sanders for a bit, some of his stats, stuff like that. We're going to talk about Terry and how this affects the Terry deal. Spoiler alert, it doesn't affect the Terry deal at all. Maybe this is just, all right, maybe Terry's going to be a little bit longer than we thought. We're going to bring in another vet, vet body, guy for camp. But I think that this doesn't really affect it too much. I think if they were bringing in a guy like Amari Cooper, then that would affect things a little bit more. Some information on Braylon Sanders. He's 26, and I didn't really watch the DC Defenders that much, so I'm not hip to how good he is. But he caught. I have the exact stats up, but 13 catches, 332 yards, which that is absolutely insane. Averaged 25 yards per catch. And played with the Dolphins in 2022, caught 2 passes, 17 yards, and then Patriots practice squad last year. So maybe the time with the DC Defenders helped him out a little bit, maybe got his confidence up. All right, so my, Alexa interrupted me there, but we are back and almost got her to start talking again by saying that. But let's get right back into it. So Braylon Sanders, big play machine, 25 yards per catch. That's just insane. And only having 13 catches, but that many yards is crazy. He had 3 touchdowns, which I guess on 13 catches, that's pretty good. It's just 13 catches over a full season. I don't know how many games they played, but regardless, Braylon Sanders, in an ideal scenario, he's not on the team. Ideal scenario for the Commanders, obviously Terry is on the team, and he's your number one. Debo, Noah Brown, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey are your 5. And then you you sign one of your guys, to the 53. So, you keep one of them. So whether that's Michael Gallup, Ja'Cory Brooks, KJ Osborne, one of those guys. I know I'm missing an obvious name. Chris Moore, they keep one of them or bring someone in. I don't know. But that's their ideal scenario. But, they're bringing in Braylon Sanders. We'll see what he does. Seems like he's used to the D.C. area at least a little bit. And they'll bring him in, another camp body, maybe just because they feel like Terry's going to be a little bit longer than, they expected. And in terms of the Terry deal, it's super frustrating. I'll be on Rio's channel in a little, in around an hour. I guess once the video's out, a little less than an hour, we'll talk about it. But yeah, it sucks. I mean, to get to this point where he's requesting a trade, never thought this would happen. I don't think he will get traded, but I think both sides have, botched this situation a little bit. And I know some people are adamant about both, only one side being right and, the other side being wrong. And we have both sides in the fan base. But I think that you have to understand that both sides made mistakes in this scenario with, maybe Terry's agent being a little bit unorthodox and, a little delusional. And then Adam Peters and them lowballing them a little bit, trying to save a little bit of money when this is your franchise guy, one of your franchise guys, and you just get it done. And sometimes you just got to get it done early. And Adam Peters, maybe not specifically Adam Peters, but the 49ers, when Adam Peters was there, they had a, trend of doing these deals late into September. So, not, late into September, but late, doing these deals pretty late, and they would almost go until September or late August. So I think Terry's deal will get done. It's just they got to get a little bit closer. And I put a tweet out, and I'm more on Terry's side, but I understand what you guys are saying. But I said Adam Peters and Terry McLaurin, they need to get in a room, lock the door, not get out until the deal is done. And I'm 100% serious about that. I just think it's about communication. And, they haven't had the necessary communication, and I think that's been part of the issue if they would have been, openly communicating from the start, I think this would have gotten done in February, March, but they're not really talking much. Maybe Terry's not answering the phone, and, maybe that gets Adam Peters and them upset, and they're like, all right, if he's not going to answer the phone, we're not going to talk to him. We're not going to offer him. And that's why they didn't really talk to him for a month in the summer. These are all assumptions, but, just kind of what I believe happened. And, they're just going to have to get it done. They're far apart, and it's not getting better. One side is going to have to bite the bullet. One side is going to have to give a little bit, at least to get to a good spot where they're somewhat close, because according to reports, they're not close at all. So even if it's a mill or two right now, and Terry and their camp, they're like, all right, 36 is too much. We'll take 34. And then, Adam Peters is like, all right, we're not giving you 34, but instead of the 25 that we're offering you, we'll give you 27. And then you're a little bit closer. Instead of 25 to 36 is your range, you're now at like 27 to 34, which still you're off by a lot, and you got to get the guarantees and everything figured out, but you're a lot closer. And then you can, start to get a little bit more closer and get to a range where, all right, now it's just small details that you're worrying about. That's the goal. But, like I said, never thought that this Terry McLaurin situation would get to this point where he requests a trade from the Commanders. Never thought this would happen. I still think he wants to be here. I really do. I think he wants to be here, but again, he's so frustrated that he's open to the idea of a trade, and it should have never got to that point. So, hopefully Buddy is gone in terms of his agent, Buddy, and they can get a new agent and figure this out, and, just start over on negotiations if that's possible, and get this done within the next, few weeks before the start of the season, because it is drama and unneeded drama that the Commanders, it's just, you don't need to be talking about that in training camp. We want to talk about Jaden Daniels. We want to talk about some of these rookies. We want to talk about, these joint practices and stuff. But then when your star player is not there and he's requesting a trade, that, that's going to be talked about. And yeah, Terry's not blameless in this. I mean, yeah, he's using his leverage and he's requesting a trade and stuff like that. But also you would like it not to get to that point, and maybe him not utilizing that negotiation tactic, because, again, I don't know if it's 100% needed, but it looks like just the communication on both sides has not been there. But that is it for today's video. Just wanted to talk about Braylon Sanders and then, the Terry situation a little bit. I streamed it yesterday about 35 minutes. And, cooled down a little bit. I was on both sides, but more on the Terry side. I still am more on the Terry side, but I do understand, Adam Peters' side, obviously, as well. But thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.